Sorry about the hair, in case you can't tell, I've just come out of the shower. So, as you might have been able to tell based on like my favorites and just the videos I've put up, I have not read a book in such a long time. Ridiculously long. I had one book that I brought and I just didn't get into it. I think I was just reading it too spaced out. Like, I'd read a bit and then I'd wait a week or two and then I'd read a bit more and I just got lost in the story. So I sort of gave up on it. It's still there. I've still got the bookmark in place in case I choose to come back to it. And then I didn't want to start a new book, and also I didn't really have a new book to read, and I just didn't read, and it felt really funny to me to not read for so long. Anyway, so a few weeks ago my brother says, Raquel, I know you like space, I brought this book from Australia, if you want to read it, I finished it, I think you might enjoy it. So naturally I hear space, I hear book, I think, yeah, that sounds good. And this is the book. It's by Hadfield, who is the actual person the story's about, and it's an astronaut's guide to life on Earth, and it's really, really good. Honestly, I was a little bit concerned because I hadn't read in such a long time that I wouldn't really get into it or that I would almost forget how to read, but I got right into it, spent the whole day yesterday reading, and then finished it up the last 40 or so pages this morning. I'm a very slow reader. The book is 284 pages long, and it's really good. I do think it has some flaws, which I will discuss in a moment, but I'll read the blurb now and then I'll chat about it. Colonel Chris Hadfield has spent decades training as an astronaut and has logged nearly 4,000 hours in space. During this time, he has broken into a space station with a Swiss Army knife, disposed of a live snake while piloting a plane, and been temporarily blinded while clinging to the exterior of an orbiting spacecraft. The secret to his success and survival is an unconventional philosophy he learned at NASA. Prepare for the worst and enjoy every moment of it. In An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth, Chris Hadfield takes readers deep into his years of training in space exploration to show how to make the impossible possible. You might never be able to build a robot, pilot a spacecraft, or perform basic surgery in zero gravity like Colonel Hadfield, but his vivid and refreshing insights will teach you how to think like an astronaut and will change completely the way you view life on Earth, especially your own. Chris Hadfield is one of the most seasoned and accomplished astronauts in the world. He most recently served as commander of the International Space Station, where he gained worldwide acclaim for his breathtaking photographs and educational videos about life in space. His music video, a zero-gravity version of David Bowie's Space Oddity, received over 10 million views in its first 3 days online. So it's basically about the life story of astronaut Chris Hadfield, and the few flaws with it, in my opinion, were that at one point, especially towards the end, it was just getting a little bit repetitive, and this really sort of bugged me a little bit. He seems the kind of person who's like, oh, I'm very humble, I don't need to take any recognition for my accomplishments. That's also one of the lessons he tries to teach you. And yet, at the same time, it feels like he's subtly trying to tell you about all his achievements. Which I get. In your life story, you're gonna put in all the things you did. But it just feels a bit hypocritical. I checked out very quickly some reviews on Goodreads, and I think a few people put it in a really good way. It's like a father telling you a story of like, back when I was your age, that kind of thing, with some life lessons put in. What I really like about this particular version is that it also has some photos, but I don't know if all the versions have that. But I just found it really fascinating to read an astronaut's life because I would happily be in this position if my brain was a little bit more scientifically wired. It does also lack some information about like specifics of life on the ISS, but for the most part it's pretty good and just really fascinating. So I just really recommend it, and read it if you like space or that kind of stuff. I wouldn't necessarily read it for the life lessons though. It's meant to be like life lessons, but I mean, they're all pretty self-explanatory, I would say. Bye!